Hi everyone, I'm Shah. I'm a marketing coordinator here at SEGA Europe, and joining me today is Romain de Waubert, the creative director, general manager, and founding member of Amplitude Studios, our Paris-based developer known for its award-winning endless games. Romain has over 20 years of experience within the games industry. He was lead designer on the original Battlefield in DICE in Sweden, and a producer at Ubisoft on titles like Dark Messiah and Clash of Heroes. In 2011, he founded Amplitude Studios with the goal of making deep, attractive, and accessible strategy games. Amplitude was acquired by SEGA in 2016 and now has over 100 employees. Today, Romain's leading the charge on Amplitude's most ambitious game yet, Humankind, due out in 2021. And he has joined us today to talk about his experiences. Hi, Romain.
Hello, Sean.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
So, as you know, we're interviewing several people over here at SEGA Europe and SEGA in general. We've got a few questions that we're asking everybody. So first of all, what was your first memory of SEGA as a company?
I think it goes back to the first time I stepped in an arcade, I think. And I don't know why, but the logo SEGA just is like magical. I mean, the old logo you were saying, on all this arcade I didn't play because I didn't have the comps to put in, so I had to just look at the logo and these beautiful planes going all over the place. But I don't know, for me, so it's definitely a kind of magic that goes with it.
So you've been working with SEGA since you joined us, since 2016. What are your fondest memories of working at SEGA?
I think that you have work things that could be interesting or not interesting, but others are just by meeting people, right? And I just love working with the people at SEGA, and there's something I think very very interesting in the bonds we create, and I think you really feel like a team. But anyway, just I think one of the first time when we knew we were working together, we decided to invite many people from SEGA for a good dinner, and we had a good time. Wanted to show them about the French cuisine, and by the end of the dinner, everyone was raving about how good it was. And while everyone was raving about it, I was just seeing a huge rat, working behind them. So I wanted to make sure they were all looking at me all the time, so they could not look around. And I didn't dare to tell them for at least a year after that, there was a huge rat in the restaurant. They would still keep raving about for the following year. Of course, they're not raving about it anymore.
Well, I think some of our good memories are coming to visit you guys as well. So it's nice to hear that it's been working both ways. As you know, it's SEGA's 60th anniversary. And obviously we've done quite a lot as a company from then. But where do you hope SEGA is in another 60 years' time?
It's another 6 years. Man, I won't even be around to see that. So I'll wait for my kids to see that. So I think for them, well, actually they will be retired as well. But well, I hope my kids, when they will be retired, will be able to play SEGA, basically. So in 6 years from now. And I think the good thing is, today we're making games for everyone. If we look at all the games we do. And so we have to make sure we can make games for retired people. so we can still have these amazing games, when we have a lot of time in front of us, in our retirement homes.
I think everyone can see themselves playing video games in retirement now, I hope. What is your favorite SEGA game or franchise? And did you have a favorite SEGA console?
Well, games, it always goes back to these arcades, and for me, there was this. I still remember, behind that SEGA logo, this F-15 planes are like going crazy on that screen, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It was called Afterburner, well, I did play a few times. It was, to me, it seemed very expensive, but the few minutes I played, and I was really bad at it, but the few minutes made me dream for so long. And yeah, so that for me, that was attached to that. Always goes back to this first arcade, and then of course when the Mega Drive came in, it was so amazing just to be able to have that at home.
Can you tell us a bit about your background in games and what eventually led you to found Amplitude Studios?
So basically, it all goes back to when I realized I could not be, the person my parents wanted me to be, and I could not, work in banks and be crunching numbers and do something that would not suit me. I'm sure it does suit other people, but it would not suit me. And then I had to go work somewhere where I feel I could make a difference, and for me that was video games. But at the time, it was not easy to get into the industry because you didn't have a clear path for that. A lot of people started by chance. Or by knowing someone, or by just doing it, and so actually at the very beginning, to start, I created a small studio that nobody heard about because we never shipped anything, and actually we kind of went out of business before even shipping, but it was fascinating, and we did a game, or the demo of a game, which was the ancestor of Endless Legend. And thanks to that, actually, all of us actually had a kind of nearly a diploma to show that we could actually work in the industry. And we used that demo, we used the game design or the art produced to be hired in the industry. And actually, we all started over the place. For me, it was at DICE, actually, at the time it was called Refraction Games. It was a very small indie studio in Stockholm. And was to be one of the first designers they ever hired. And I still remember the boss at the time not being convinced that actually it was really worth it to hire a designer. So I'm happy actually that it was worth it. And yeah, it all started. And then I always wanted to go back to my first passion, which was, of course, Endless Legends and the strategy games, that made me start. But I realized, I needed to learn a lot, and spend a lot of time learning by making games. So whether it was at DICE or at Ubisoft, and always meeting amazing people. And that's, with all the great people I worked with at Ubisoft, that we realized that together, actually, maybe we should create that studio. Now that we have experience, we still had a dream, which was to create strategy games and Endless Legend-like games, and that's it. One day we decided to jump ship and do it. So yeah, it was quite a good beginning.
Amplitude as a studio is renowned for its community-infused approach to game development. Can you tell us the motivations behind developing the Games Together platform, and how did that come to be?
There are two parts of that. One is I did ship games in the past, where a few days after shipping, we realized we had issues with the game, like balance issues or bugs, or even sometimes some design that was not probably thought out. And you realize that after shipping, after getting all your ratings. And sometimes stuff you could have fixed very easily. You could have spent another week or two on it. You prioritize something that nobody cared about. This is what you read after looking at the reviews, when you should have maybe prioritized on something else that actually you realize after shipping that everyone wants to see in the game, fix in the game, improve in the game. So that was the first one. The other one was that in all the years, we had the chance to work in this industry before creating Amplitude. We did a lot of games, but we never really had the time to do a full Forex, and looking at how many players you had in the community that were really knowledgeable about what was a good Forex, that you really realized with these two elements that we had to make sure before we ship the game that we get all that knowledge in the game. So when you ship it, you don't have any surprises. You still have a vision for the game, and you still own the vision. But by having the very early on your community around that vision, then you make a really strong game. And obviously, we would never have been who we are today without that Games Together.
The community obviously around Endless is fantastic and everybody's very into it. How did you come up with the idea for Endless Space? Did you come up with an idea for Endless Legend, for example, and then the lore expanded from there? Or did you design the game with a franchise and long-term goals in mind?
So actually, the very entry point to that was the universe, and we knew from the beginning that with Endless Space we needed to create a very interesting lore for people to believe in it, to want to be sucked into it, and so they have the desire to make a difference in that universe. So they don't feel like they're being spectators in just watching something and just have to again crush crush numbers in an Excel sheet. It's definitely about creating that link. So when we created Amplitude, we did create it with Jeff Spock, and Jeff Spock is an amazing writer that we've been very lucky working with him for a long time. But it was key for us to create Amplitude with Jeff. So the narration in a 4X, which is not always what you think of first. When in 4X you think about game design, but techniques, maybe sometimes technology, whatever you think of, but rarely narration. And for us it was key, especially for Endless Space, because we were not in our own reality. We were not in history. We had to imagine something big. Then when we started working on it, we of course we had to try a lot of things, throw away a lot of things, try to look at what were all the codes in the genre, and how we could sometimes break these codes, surprise people, and there was a very beginning with Endless Space, but already at the time of Endless Space, we had in mind Endless Legend, and we realized that some of the key elements that were being defined for Endless Space had to sustain a wider universe. And then when we started with Endless Legend, the trick was, okay, we were in space before, now we're in fantasy. What is the link? And what was interesting there is, of course, we thought about all the key elements of Endless Space in a fantasy world, but it added a lot of depth to actually the universe of Endless Legend with this kind of sci-fi background behind it, make it very unique as well.
Amplitude joined the Sega family in 2016. So that's just before Endless Space 2 went into early access. And obviously all of the lore and all of the franchise had grown way before then. Can you tell us what made Amplitude want to work with Sega, and how have you guys integrated with the other studios in the Sega family?
So when we worked on our 4Xs, so we first started on the first one, we were like 20. Endless Legend, we were like 40. And each game, and started working on looking at Endless Space 2, was getting more like 50, 60. We're looking at all of these numbers increasing because we wanted always to take our games to the next level. And for me, I was really afraid, in a way, to lose my independence. And it's funny to say that actually by joining Sega, actually I kept my independence, because I can keep, investing whatever is needed to make the best game ever, and have the back of Sega behind it. Sega, who definitely understands what it takes, when you look at all the strategy games they have, whether it is at CA or Creative Assembly or Relic, there's a huge history of that, and we were comfortable with that, and now I'm happy to know that 4 years later we know we have done the right choices. Creatively, we are as independent as we ever were. And we don't have to take bad decisions about having to cut elements. We cannot afford, basically. We have all the means to make the best for our exam.
So now you've joined us at Sega. You've made no bones about Humankind being the game that Amplitude have always wanted to make. What is it about the game and the historical strategy genre that has made this project so appealing to you?
Well, since I was a kid, I was a big history fan, and when other kids were maybe watching animes on TV, I was loving my history books and reliving all the battles of Alexander and Napoleon and all that. I don't know why it just made me dream, to look at all to read about all these disappeared civilizations and so yes, all of that, made me want to have my own take, what would be a historical forex, and it's true that for me it's always a learning process. I need to learn how to make games to create Amplitude, and I need to learn to make a forex before to start Humankind. Although we learned, we did some good things on the way, and we're extremely happy because with Endless Legend, you can find a lot of the DNA that would later, also in a way become Humankind. So I'm happy that we've been able to try things that worked out, that proved to be good, and then we can have a good foundation for that. So. Yes, it's and I think I'm happy about all these choices, and I'm sure that if we meet again in 60 years, we will discuss about the other games we made thanks to Humankind being a foundation itself.
As you've said, Humankind has been a learning process, has been a challenge. But what are the main challenges in departing from the Endless universe that you've spent so long creating, where you're free to make all the rules to kind of a real world setting? Like, have you had to adapt your approach to narrative and game design for that?
Yes, it's the narration definitely is very different. The effort is more on how to be true to history, yet have a look at history which is modern. It's definitely assume that it's someone from 2020 looking at history. So it's very important that to waste all the words we put it in there. We cover so many different topics, so many different cultures, so many different events. So it's important, of course, to look at it in the right way that would enrich our players and make them dream as well.
We've seen from open dev, so the recent open dev scenarios, that the world in Humankind really lives and breathes. How important is it to a 4X strategy game to realize this level of detail? Like, are you taking the genre visually to a new level as well?
That's definitely what we hope, but from the first feedbacks we get, I think it's definitely what people see as well. It's true for all our games. We want it's just a matter of breaking all the barriers between you and the game, and to have them so beautiful is just for you to believe in that world, and again, if you believe in it, if you believe in all these civilizations around you, these cultures, to create that emotional link, and it's I think it's cool as well to see the world changing from the beginning, while you feel like you're nearly in this kind of this Garden of Eden, with all these wild animals running all around, and it's beautiful, and then everyone builds a civilization, and you have these roads and buildings, and it changes, but it's also a choice for you as a player to realize how you want to impact all of that.
As a 4X fan, I'm extremely excited for Humankind, but if you had to pick one thing about Humankind that excites you the most, what would that be?
So it's a tricky question because there's quite a lot of things that excite me, but there's one. It's definitely the combination of culture. It's what's cool with that is, in a way, it is definitely looking at history, how it was for a lot of us. It's these cultures that succeed each other, in one place, to create who we are today as a country, a culture, civilization, whatever we want to call it, and it's I think fascinating. At the same time, gameplay-wise, it does open up to so many possibilities. You want to play it historically, to have a meaningful succession of cultures, meaningful to you. Do you want to create a culture, civilization that will be really based on maybe war and maybe horses, and make sure you always pick the ones that are the more the best at that, so you have the best cavalry in the game, mid game. Do you want to be the best builders? Do you want to be good a bit everything, so you'd be a bit Chinese and a bit French, and and you have a good science and a good culture. And for the army, you pick whatever culture seems to be good at that, like the Romans, for example. So it's very interesting to see. Or actually, you can even react to events in the game and say, okay, right now I need to change my evolution. It will not be the plan I set up for my civilization. It will be a new plan. So yeah, it's so many possibilities with it, and yes, I think that what does excite me the most.
Well, I think from that, it's very clear to see that Amplitude are trying to innovate the 4X genre in general with what we've seen up until now of Humankind. How do you see the genre evolving in the future? I know Humankind's not out yet, but do you see the genre evolving past that?
Well, yeah, obviously yes, because I hope Humankind will be that stepping stone for everyone. That means that others will probably build already on top of that, so they will keep evolving the genre, and at one point we'll have to build upon all these things that have been created out of what we brought to the genre. So no, it's definitely exciting to. For me, I hope it's a genre also will play more and more, with our friends, because I think it's very exciting to play with friends. We're doing everything we can to make our games, very fun to play in multiplayer, and yeah, I hope there will be a lot of evolution in that sort of sense as well.
Well, that sounds very promising, and I hope the genre does evolve that way, because multiplayer is definitely one of my favorite things. What's your vision for Amplitude in the future? Like, what do you see after Humankind, and what do you want the studio to achieve after that?
It's we love, of course, the 4X genre, but not just. We love strategy. And what I want for Amplitude is to be able to bring strategy games like Dungeon of the Endless, of course, Humankind or His Legend, or maybe others, to all our players. Whether they are, I'd love to be able to answer their needs of let's have a quick little game of strategy, and to be stimulated and to dream, and to keep expanding the universe, because the Endless universe is such a beautiful universe that you definitely want to keep expanding as much as we can. So yeah, for me, that there will be a lot of these evolutions for us. It's like a universe, and bringing more players to it.
Well, it sounds like you guys have some really big plans then. So to finish it off, what advice would you give to somebody that was looking to either work for Amplitude or SEGA or the games industry in general?
Everything is possible. I'm often meeting people that say, well, my studies, they're not video game studies, but I'd love to work in video games. That I think is great. That I don't think you need to have a video game diploma to work in the industry. It only helps lazy HR to say, oh, okay, he has a diploma in the video game industry, so that's good. But actually, sometimes by having other type of diplomas, it makes you richer. So if you want to work in the industry, you feel that you don't have the right diploma, you feel that you may be not young enough, I don't think it's a problem at all. And so if you should push it, you should take the chance. Try to participate in a lot of jams with friends, show what you can do, whether this is artistically, programming wise, game design wise. As long as you create and you can show your creations, it will be very easy for you, I think, to find a job, because there are a lot of jobs. Just for us at Amplitude already, we have a lot of openings. I'm sure there's even a lot more at SEGA, and let's not even talk about the whole industry. It's booming, so there's a place for you.
I think that's some really good advice. So everyone, if you're looking to get into the games industry, then just keep an eye out on the websites and things like that. I think that wraps us up for today. Thank you for joining me, Romain.
Thank you, Charles.
And we'll see you guys in the next video then. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.